We're starting the second part of our conversation here, and I'd encourage anybody to listen to the first part if they haven't. But where we finished was a discussion around your family summit, which I think was happening a couple of weeks after we met.
Right.
So
That's right.
you must have been in full planning mode. Um, what percentage roughly of people who were invited to attended, do you know?
We had 325 family members attend this summit. So again, we have exactly 545 living family members at this time. That number's a moving target for sure. And so it was a sizable group.
Wow.
Yeah, we offer voting before the summit because we also use that time to be a members meeting to vote for directors, and voting can be online. So somebody certainly doesn't have to attend the summit in order to vote, but we did have a quorum present at the summit as well. So it's nice. I actually think that's kind of an important thing to consider, as far as who's in the room.
Well, that's amazing numbers, given that people do not have to attend to participate. How do you make it so much fun or enjoyable or attractive for people to attend? And how long can you give us a rough idea of the day by day
Sure.
agenda?
Yeah. Yeah, so family members are able to come at a discounted rate Wednesday night. We don't start covering their costs until Thursday. And so Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night are the nights of the summit. And Thursday, we have rehearsals for both the members meeting and the business overview in the morning, and then the activities start in the afternoon with things like new member welcome for those who have recently married in. We have a kind of an opening like reception that is often hosted by like the family council to be like the first touch point. We work very hard to pay attention to the hello of the summit to make sure that nobody escapes without being welcomed. So that's very important to us, and we've prioritized that. We also have our sort of introductory dinner is our welcome dinner. And then after the welcome dinner, we have a welcome and remembrance gathering. And at our welcome and remembrance gathering, a variety of things can happen. This year, we were on the Santa Ana Pueblo in New Mexico. And so we actually had a tribal member of the Pueblo give us a formal welcome from their culture, which is something that we really appreciated. Our theme this year was telling our story. And our summit is one of the ways we continue to live our story together. And we really focus throughout the summit on the way we keep our legacy alive by continuing to tell our story. We think that's an important way to not forget that this all has meaning. This isn't just it isn't just money. Not that money is utterly meaningless, but it's so much more. So at the welcome and remembrance gathering, we also, announce graduates and introduce new babies and new members. And then we also honor those who have passed during the last year. On Friday morning, we have a business overview. During that same time, we have what we call Laird Norton Academy, and this is for family members ages 14 to 20. Also, if you are 14 to 20, after the Laird Norton Academy, you are invited to be part of the Sapling Fund. That's a foundation, that's a portion of our foundation that is directed, the funding is directed by those 14 to 20-year-olds. So they're doing something different during the business overview. The children are in Camp 3 Tree. Camp 3 Tree is something they look forward to all year. They cannot wait to come back. So we have hired professionals that do this for our kids. And it's something that my kids grew up absolutely loving it every year. They wouldn't let us miss the summit. So that was a great decision that they made to begin that program in about 1990.
And sorry,
And,
Jill, tell us a
yeah,
bit about that program. That sounds very interesting. The kids are
yeah,
engaged with.
right. Yeah, Camp 3 Trees. So 3 trees, that's our 3 founders. So that's why our logo is 3 trees. So Camp 3 Tree is a children's program for ages 0 to 13. We have an official graduation ceremony for those who are 14 and they're entering into their first members meeting at the summit. So we can welcome them with sort of a special introduction. during the members meeting, but the 0 to 13, they're in camp, and every age group, so they're kind of divided into age groups depending on how many kids in that age group. That those age groups can fluctuate a bit, and they have educators with them, and they have some sort of Laird Norton relevant topics, but then a lot of fun. It's just a lot of activity together, kind of. We have a really great video segment. We have this interactive family tree, and one of the things that they do is they come and play with the family tree as groups, and you can get this visual of them standing around. And one of the questions that these kids, as they're standing around our circular family tree, are asked is, who's your cousin? And it's so fun to see that. Oh, he's my cousin. He's my cousin. And they're just like, and so it's kind of this sort of celebration of being a cousin that marks that Camp Three Tree experience. And so then they're really ready to kind of enter into the next phase, which is to be a full member when they're 14. And so Friday, again, we have the business overview. We have connecting cousins activities, or something we call Laird Norton University, in the afternoon. We have an all-family night for dinner and activities. And then Saturday morning is the members meeting. We have what we call our trio chat, and that's where I would, along with our chairman of the board and our CEO, have an open invite for Q&A. So any question that they want to ask, because as a kind of a leadership trio, the three of us meet regularly, and so we decided to handle that kind of an open Q&A that way. We also have some free time, and then an adult-only celebration dinner on the Saturday evening. And that's basically the schedule. We do a lot of surveying, and we call it family council feedback hour during breakfast Sunday morning, but that's really the departure time.
Wow, that's a lot of work goes into that, but it sounds like a wonderful time for family members to be together and get a lot of information. And with the trio chat, can people ask you anything, or the questions put forward in advance?
Unfortunately, they can ask us anything. I'd kind of like to change that. I don't know. you sometimes, like, I don't know, I jokingly say sometimes I feel like we need to define like what actually is a question before we start that, because sometimes people do want to just, make a comment, and that's fine too. We really try to have an open mind about that. Yeah, so they can ask anything.
Right, fantastic. But that's a great culture. And with the younger people, do you have any elements of what we would call a rite of passage, or I see you know.
Yeah, so 13-year-olds, it's going to be their last year at Camp Three Tree. So they do two things. One, they have a bit of a ceremony with their peer group, which is 10, 11, 12, and 13-year-olds. So they're the oldest kids. They do sort of a celebration of them internally within Camp Three Tree. But then on Saturday morning, they come into the members meeting. The chairman of the board, introduces them, says, hey, you're welcome to, stay for a few minutes and see what happens here, but we are so excited to welcome you here next year. So it's kind of like a little visual, and everybody, applauds, lots of, excitement for that.
That sounds fantastic. And they're quite young ages. Australians are a little bit nervous about, to generalize, about talking to the children about, wealth and so on. And there's a fear that it will put kids off a track of really making something of themselves. Can you have you had any experiences of that eventuating, or the opposite?
I think that same reticence to talk about wealth is true here in the United States. I don't think that's different. I think it really, because again, we are a very broad and complex family system. I would say that it's hard to know what sorts of conversations are happening in the nuclear families that make up the Laird Norton family, and it's very diverse that way. I think we have everything from family members who do not want to talk about money at all. And that would really just be considered rude to family members who are very open about it. Where we start to be extremely explicit with the kids, you can only be explicit to a certain point because, it's called personal finance for a reason, because it's personal and we don't actually know everybody's exact financial situation. And it's hard to have insight into that for us at Laird Norton Company, because even though for some family members, Laird Norton Company would be a bulk of their wealth, for so many, they've doubled and tripled it doing other things, right? So we don't really know. And there could be some for whom their ownership really isn't, sufficient, and they've sort of struggled to have, the wealth. So we have a very diverse wealth scenarios within our family, but we do talk about personal finance with the 14 to 20-year-olds. And like this year at our next gen convening, which is coming up for 21 to 40-year-olds in November, the topic is personal finance. We'll bring in a personal finance expert. So we try to give some information without giving advice, which we are not qualified to do. They can be clients of Laird Norton Weatherby, but we can't actually give, financial advice or personal financial information to them.
Well, thank you for that, Jill. Might take a break here for people to have a stretch, and we can have a stretch. I'll talk to you. We'll finish our conversation shortly. Thank you very much.
Thank you.